Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Thank you guys for joining the YouTube video. I really appreciate it, especially for a first outing like this. I've recently found myself unemployed, so I have so much more free time now, and I thought what better way to use it than to burden you all with my own thoughts and opinions. So, while I'm not cooking and cleaning for my wife, while I'm not painting little Warhammer miniatures, I'm going to be delivering you guys content. Hopefully thought-provoking, more than likely mind-numbing. I messed up his primer, and he's kind of lumpy, but he's really cool. He's the he is my assault intercessor sergeant, so he leads my guys. Pretty cool if you ask me. But I digress. I know why you're here. You know why you're here. We're here to talk about some Magic the Gathering, right? So let's talk about some Magic the Gathering. I think the first thing that we need to discuss is how popular it is right now. Magic the Gathering has probably never been more popular. It is kind of like a two-sided sword. Yeah, so I'm not going to sit here and say that newcomers make everything worse, because they don't. Honestly, new people joining the card game is so good for us because it brings more fresh takes and we get more people who are excited, and it just kind of adds to the whole atmosphere of the Magic the Gathering community. It just feels nicer. It feels like more like homey and everything. It's better than being with a bunch of neckbeards and BO goblins who just play the game like absolute merchants. It's good to have that fresh, new like fan base come in. So it's not their fault as to why Magic the Gathering has been taking a steady decline. The only people that we can truly blame are the people at Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro. And why? Because it's gone too corporate. I'm going to be bringing up this point over and over again, that Magic the Gathering right now is profitability over identity. They are putting profitability before anything else in their entire like market strategy. And I think that is overall hurting the card game. And when you go back in time and look at the creation of this trading card game, you realize that the roots are starting to rot from all of this corporate greed. That what made Magic the Gathering is being actively like disintegrated. So I say, let's jump right into the past and let me give you guys a brief history of how Magic the Gathering is created and how we got to where we are today. So check it out. Magic the Gathering was created by a really creative guy going by the name of Richard Garfield. His whole thing was that he loved tabletop games and telling fun and entertaining stories. In fact, he loved both of these acts so much, he used to homebrew his own D&D games with friends because he thought the original story for D&D kinda sucked. But anyways, some time passes, he goes to college, networks a bit, and he gets a chance to pitch a game to then CEO of Wizards of the Coast, Peter Adkison. After some failed pitches to the head honcho of Wizards of the Coast, he then decided to whip out one of his homebrew childhood games called The Five Magics, which was a super early concept of Magic the Gathering if you couldn't hear the resemblance already. At the time, there was nothing like it. It was a game that had three primary aspects: one, to collect cards; two, to build a deck specific to your customizations; and three, to use the deck to play against somebody else's deck. To say that it was a game changer for back in the day tabletop games is an understatement. And to add a cherry on top to all of this, Garfield was able to convince Adkison to keep the story aspect of the card game as well, meaning that this would be Garfield's magnum opus. Being able to tell a story between the cards of a groundbreaking new tabletop game was everything he could have dreamed of. The only thing was, neither Adkison or Garfield had money at the time. They were flat broke. So they had to resort to free demonstrations at conventions until they were able to secure $40,000 from investors. Then, in 1993, they were able to finally stock shelves and the game became officially changed. Everybody and their mother was trying to get a trading card game out after this. They did so well that they were able to sell out to Hasbro in 1999 for $325 million, which is roughly around $650 million currently, adjusted for inflation. So as we can see, Magic the Gathering had super humble beginnings. Richard Garfield had no clout to his name at the time, and Peter Adkison was a nobody in the business world. So they came together, jumbled up as much resources as they can to get this card game finally onto shelves, and without sacrificing things like the story and the overall heart and love that was put into this card game. And I think that's what made it special. It was a card game made out of love. It was a card game made out of enjoyment for other games. It was a card game for the culture, not just for dollar signs. And as we can see later on throughout the years, things would change, especially after Hasbro acquired Magic the Gathering, because then it started getting ran like a business instead of just a lovable card game made by an individual who loved tabletop games. But I will say that some people attribute the Hasbro years as a golden era for Magic the Gathering. Like from 1999 to 2018, there was so much going on with Magic the Gathering. It was so story rich. There was so much good card design. People were beginning to get attached to the names on the cards like Jace, Liliana, Chandra. Like, it became a whole thing. You had cool storylines like Gatewatch, the Eldrazi. So honestly, like, what happened? What was the issue? It seemed like everything was going well. Well, I'll tell you, in 2018, they decided that not enough people were buying cards, that they weren't making enough money in this card game. So, logically, they made some pretty big decisions that affected the card game and that we're still feeling today. So let's get into those. There was a time frame between 2018 and 2019 that there was a huge shift to Magic the Gathering, albeit a subtle one, but it was still there nonetheless. A few notable events that happened during the beginning of this era was the cancellation of release blocks, the creation of something called Project Booster Fun, and the release of Secret Lairs with Universes Beyond. These decisions geared Magic the Gathering towards a profit-first mindset. First, the cancellation of blocks made it so more sets can be churned out without the worry of narrative restrictions. For those of you who might not know what a block is, blocks were these schedules that would normally see about 2 to 3 sets be released all regarding the same plane. Also, if you don't know what a plane is, it's basically just a universe within the Magic the Gathering multiverse, like Zendikar, Ixalan, Dominaria. But because of the removal of blocks, we saw a decline in the story of Magic the Gathering. Hopping from one plane to the next so quickly really watered down the impacts of events in Magic the Gathering lore. I know to some people this really isn't the biggest deal to them. Like, it's easy to say, who cares about lore? I just like to play the card game. But when you take a step back and realize one of the biggest creative decisions when this game was created was to tell a good story within the cards, you can see that this game's core values are being gutted for maximum profit, and it's stomach turning. And for those who still don't care about lore or story or anything, the removal of blocks has also affected the consistency in your gameplay. Due to the constant back and forth of card design, some mechanics often get lost to the wayside, like committing crimes, speed, and oil counters. I mean, these mechanics may not be the strongest, but who knows what they could have been if they just had a little bit more support. So obviously, release blocks getting taken away, we're feeling that now. It used to be like 2 to 3 sets being released at a time for one plane. So like some pretty big ones were like Ixalan blocks, Zendikar blocks, where you would get a whole story almost throughout a whole year. And it would really make gameplay consistent because a lot of the cards revolved around that plane, and it would make the story more tangible for the average day like listener. And just for reference, believe it or not, we're in a story right now. There's been a story going on in Magic the Gathering since who knows how back. I think like Duskmourn and Return to Strixhaven are connected somehow. If you ask me, I have no idea, but there is a story in between all these sets. And see, that's where the issue is. Because we got rid of release blocks, Magic the Gathering has been able to release whatever set whenever they want. And no matter what the cohesion is with the story, it's just all put together by like duct tape and strings. And believe me, I love some of these sets just because of gameplay reasons. I love Outlaws of Thunder Junction. But how do we jump from Outlaws of Thunder Junction to like Duskmourn in the same year? We jump from Cowboys to a haunted house that's like as big as a whole universe. It's just completely insane to me. There is just like no regard to the story of Magic the Gathering anymore. Especially when that was such a big thing. Like when the Phyrexians take over, that is like jaw-dropping for Magic the Gathering. You see your favorite Planeswalker get completed, it's insane. But that's another thing. Because they got rid of release blocks, Phyrexia all will be one. When your Planeswalkers get completed, they're fixed in the next set. Like March of the Machine, they're back. Like it's there's no weight to the story. So it's just kind of ridiculous to me. Like at its core, Magic the Gathering was created with a story in mind. Like even all the way back to Alpha Set, you get name drops like Urza and Mishra, which we know today. So there was a story this whole time, and it's all going away because Magic the Gathering is like, there's no money in it. So, but you know what there is money in? Cowboys right now. Horror movie vibes. 3 Universes Beyond. So right there, as I said before earlier in the video, is profitability over identity, which Magic the Gathering has been showcasing heavily. But like I said, that's only one decision that they've made within like a 2-year period. So let's get into the next one, because the next 2 just get even crazier from here. As I said before, more bad decisions were just beyond the horizon, since after this, Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro decided to introduce a new movement of theirs called Project Booster Fun. This project saw the division of booster packs into 3 different types of packs, those being draft boosters, theme boosters, and collector boosters. And on the surface, this isn't the worst idea. On paper, a division of packs could be seen as a way to make all consumers happy and secure their product that they want. Scalpers and collectors go for the collector boosters, and the gameplay fanatics go for the theme and draft boosters. This theoretically would stop scalpers from consuming all the products which other trading card games are facing right now. But this is a band-aid for a greater cut. Although the product is easier to get, I think that this decision discreetly saw Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro bending the knee to the Wall Street of Magic the Gathering, the secondary market. This move alienated Magic the Gathering's core and original fan base because now there's a huge paywall to get into the collecting side now. This is why there's so many new and exclusive cards hidden behind these collector boosters. They know scalpers will pay for them. They know people will want them because of all the hype. It's a market that feeds into itself and ultimately sees profit for Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro because you're paying $40 for 15 pieces of foiled cardboard. So yeah, that's just ridiculous. Having to pay $40 for 15 cards and you might not even get the chase card that you want is absolutely ridiculous. Because back in the day, for $40, you can get several packs, and you would still have odds to pull that chase card of your dreams. You would still get odds to pull a really cool card. And if you didn't, you would have cards to build decks with. Like, you would have like 70 plus cards. And with 70 plus cards, you could add to decks. You can build decks. You can do so much more with that. You get more value out of it. But that's where it all goes down to. There's no value in it for Wizards of the Coast because of that. Because why would they want their printers to be running so much for multiple packs when they can just print like a third of that and get you to pay $40 for it? You see, that's where things get crazy. Because I see people on Reels, on TikTok, on YouTube all the time opening up boxes of collector boosters. Like, let's open up one collector booster once a day, and everything. And good for them. They have the money to do that and all that. But it's insane because there's this paywall to get into collecting it. And then you get these huge fear of missing out moments where it's like, man, I want the Tifa with the big boobs. Like, how am I going to get that? I need to just keep pulling collector boosters because I don't want to buy a single. A single is like $30. I'd rather spend $40 to get a collector booster and maybe get it. Because of these decisions, like, reality starts warping for the average Magic the Gathering person. But, some people really just like to open packs. And I think opening packs are fun. Like, I'm guilty of it. I would buy a bundle box every now and then to open packs, especially for a set that I like. Like, I've been flirting with the idea of Return to Strixhaven so much, but I just can't. I'm unemployed. But anyways, it's fun to open up and then see maybe if you can hit something big or a really strong card and all that. And I guess, that's what theme and draft boosters are for. They're for the gameplay fanatics. Those are for the people who, hey, I only play the game. I just want really strong cards, and I have chances of pulling them there. And that is fine. But before, you used to be able to do both. You used to be able to get collector's cards in regular packs. And then you used to be able to get cards that were strong in regular packs. So the division of 3 packs is, like I said, say it with me now, profitability over identity. They want you to spend more, to think that you get more out of it, but it was better for you in the past. Back when everything was just in one pack, you had odds of pulling a chase card. You had odds of pulling a really strong card. And then for the price of one of these collector boosters, you could have made decks, plural, So again, just another decision that completely screws the average Magic the Gathering player that caters to the scalping market. Because now scalpers have all of this stuff that they've been buying packs for. They have so many cards that they can sell and make profit off of. It's just ridiculous. Again, like I said, Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro, corporate greeting is corporate greeting, Like, it's getting there. We still have another big decision that we need to get into. So, let's get into that. And now we come to our next big decision, possibly the biggest decision Hasbro made within that 2-year time frame: the release of Secret Lairs and Universes Beyond. Since 2019, Universes Beyond has been a huge moneymaker for Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast. I mean, the Lord of the Rings set helped Magic the Gathering clear $1 billion in revenue in 2023 alone. This leads us to that same issue of profitability over identity, because now that Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast got bit with the money-making bug that is Universes Beyond, they're not going to stop whipping out these products. I think the most wild thing is that this year we will actually see more Universes Beyond sets be released than main universe sets. Just let that sink in for a bit. The plane we revisit this year the most is New York.
Fuck your life! Bing bong!
Which is technically a block. And the craziest thing, there's no sign of stopping because it works and it makes money. Us as Magic the Gathering fans have failed the card game. We sit here and argue with each other over little things while we're being blinded from the big picture. Magic the Gathering's roots are rotting from profit and corporate greed. The wheels are turning and they cannot be stopped. There's an oversaturation of sets being made, with new set after new set being released. One set releases and the next set gets spoiled the next week. Magic the Gathering is beginning to perfect the dopamine loop of late-stage capitalism consumerism, getting us to buy slop product after slop product. So many sets are being released, it's so hard to keep up with what's coming out and what deck does what. This has been leaving a lot of older fans of Magic the Gathering feeling fatigue because of the sheer quantity and the subsequent lack of quality in new sets. Like, they don't even try with certain sets anymore. Look at Spider-Man, look at Ninja Turtles, look at Murders at Karlov Manor. If these sets never released, life would be no different except Hasbro would make a few less dollars. The decline in set quality is even more prevalent in Universes Beyond because it's obvious that some of them get more love than others. Like the Spider-Man set has several cards all surrounding the same character. This could also be seen with Ninja Turtles and even Avatar: The Last Airbender. Hell, Assassin's Creed didn't even feel real with how quick it was gone. What sucks too is that there are real fans of these IPs that were probably so excited to play these in Magic the Gathering, and they just end up being disappointed because there was almost no thought put into the release. Okay, and I'm not going to sit here and say Universes Beyond don't have a seat at the table. I 100% think that they do, because if Magic the Gathering didn't do it, another card game would have just done it anyways, and I believe Magic the Gathering has the means and the fan base that would accept Universes Beyond the most. Personally, I have so many Universes Beyond commanders because a lot of the sets that they bring in are really fun and everything. But I will say that there are problems with Universes Beyond, and that it does deserve a seat at the table, but just not the biggest seat. Right now, Universes Beyond and Secret Lairs, they're like in the seat of like the dad at the end of the table who's eating all the turkey. Universes Beyond does not deserve that seat, you know? Universes Beyond needs to be like where the weird uncle is. Like, it needs to be right there. You know, everybody knows it's there, but they kind of, you know, but it's not getting the main attention. It doesn't get all the attention, which I think that's a fair seat. So, how far we have come from Richard Garfield's initial ideal for the Magic the Gathering card game. We are in a dark time in Magic the Gathering right now, despite what everybody wants you to believe. I 100% think that Magic the Gathering can pull themselves out of it as long as Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro start making more decisions for the consumer instead of their pockets. But, you know, that's the game, right? That's the game we play. We're in the big rat race, and Magic the Gathering right now is like is a contender now. You know, before it used to be like, oh, just a silly little card game. Who cares? You know, it's not going to make anything crazy. Nope. Now it's making money. Like, trading card games are all-time high right now. And it's been shooting us in the foot. You know, so hopefully one day we can go back to it. But you know, hopefully it doesn't feed the kitty, man. You know, the only thing that we could do to make things change is we need to complain more. Not with each other, but to the source. Just like how the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure fans did. They were able to bully Netflix into releasing Part 7 weekly now, starting in September, which is massive. It should have been released weekly anyways. The Sonic the Hedgehog fans bullied their studio into making Sonic presentable in the movie, you know? So why can't we do that? You know, especially with just how Magic the Gathering is going. Like, what's stopping them from years from now having one universe within set and several Universes Beyond sets within a year? You know, when does Magic the Gathering hit that threshold of it's too late, there is no return? Because right now I think we can return. It's just going to take some time and effort. But anyways, you know, those are my thoughts and opinions. I just wanted to give you guys food for thought. Hopefully I'll be making more videos soon. And if you guys like the video, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, or whatever YouTubers say. You know, I'm just filling in blanks right now. But hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. You know, hopefully we can start sticking it to the man. You know what I'm saying? All right. Peace.
So lonely, I'm sipping 40s, 'cause I have nobody. Fuck all these hoes.